Thank you for listening to this Podcast One production. Now available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, PodcastOne.com, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers. A dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends. A place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view. But when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. You're tuned in to the best in Paranormal Talk Radio. This is Darkness Radio. I'm Dave Schrader. That's Tim Dennis. And this is Supernatural News Parashare. What does that mean? Well, it means that we want you to share your parrots with us, Tim.
Oh, good.
Send us all your pictures of parrots and parrot sounds and you know, parrots without feathers, parrots with feathers, multicolored parrots, gray parrots. We want to see pictures of parrots. Just send them all to tim@darknessradio.com.
And if I may, just real quick, because
Sure.
this is a pet peeve of mine, in
I
this,
like that coming off a parrot pet peeve. I
right,
like it.
in a literal pet peeve now. I don't want this all over my social media, so please don't bombard me with it. I have a particular problem with chickens wearing sweaters. Please don't start bombarding me with parrots in sweaters. I don't think pets should wear any type of sweaters whatsoever. If pets were to wear sweaters, God would have put pets in sweaters. So therefore, pets shouldn't be in sweaters. Don't put them in sweaters.
Because God made these pets for specific areas of the world, and we as humans have uprooted these poor animals and put them in cold climates like Minnesota. And I think dogs, like a good Chihuahua, Tim, which is a weird thing to say. It's kind of like an oxymoron, a good Chihuahua. But a good Chihuahua, Tim, I know I'm going to get the Chihuahua lovers are going to hate me for that comment. Mm-hmm. They need extra insulation when they have to go out and make the wheeze and the woos, you know.
The wheeze and the woos.
Yeah, so you've got to wrap them like a little burrito before you let them out, or maybe we should call them a furrito.
Furrito.
You like that?
Uh-huh.
A furrito. Yeah.
I'm just saying, Dave, on a regular basis, and this is what I'm trying to stress here, Dave, especially with the chickens. And I've scientifically broke this down for many people. Chickens do not need sweaters. And there's a reason why, and that is because there's air between the feathers to keep them warm no matter what climate they're in. Winter, summer, no matter what, they don't need sweaters. It's been scientifically proven. Chickens don't need sweaters.
I just want to know in what world people are sending you pictures of chickens in sweaters.
They do it to piss me off.
Why? But why? Why? First of all, who was ever around just going, you know what? Tim Dennis needs a good picture of a chicken in a sweater.
People do stuff to piss me off just to get me going. It's
you get going about the stupidest thing. So I got to be honest with you.
Well,
pets in sweaters, chickens in sweaters. It's like and I could see you sitting in silent rage at home. Perhaps not even so silent. Spittle flying from thine lips.
It's not really rage. It's more righteous indignation than it is rage. But yeah. I'll.
Good God.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only coats I want on my chicken is a nice dusting of breadcrumbs and some hot wing sauce.
Amen, brother. Yep.
All right. We've got a lot to cover this week. We've got some stories. I got some more emails, people wanting to talk to me a little bit about the ayahuasca stuff. So I'll answer some more of those questions as well. Mm-hmm. From my journey a few weeks ago. If you missed it, go tune in. It's a pretty cool episode, I think. And we've gotten amazing response to it. So please go check out the journey episode that we did a few weeks back on the program. But let's get diving into the world of supernatural news. And I noticed that there's some Dracula news, a couple different Dracula stories. There's some exorcism news, a couple of different exorcism stories. So we're starting to see they're coming in bunches again, Tim.
Well, I would think Dracula would want to stay 6 feet away at least now from people with coronavirus. I mean,
yeah,
just saying.
We are Darkness Radio, and we ain't a fear to no coronavirus. We'll stay on the air until my last wheezing breath, Tim.
I was going to say, I mean, you're out there amongst the great unwashed right now. I mean,
I know. No, actually, this is probably the cleanest time in history to be out.
Well,
everybody's hoarding toilet paper and antibacterial wipes. So, you know what I think is funny is all the anger over, well, people are hoarding toilet paper. That's ridiculous. What does that have to do with the coronavirus? It's not even a poop disease. It's a bronchial disease. So what? So what do you care if they're buying toilet paper? If it doesn't affect you, shut up! For God's sake. Well, it does affect me, David Schrader, because I need poop paper and it's not there. Well, you know what? Go on Amazon. How do I know? Because I had 22 cases delivered to me. Ha! So if there's no poop paper, I got it all.
You know, Trevor Noah brought it up brilliantly the other night on The Daily Show. You're in a room that probably contains a bath or a shower. If you don't have any poop paper, just take your ass over to the shower and wash it off.
Yeah. That's probably good. Unless you're at work, you know, there might not be a shower next to the old toilet.
Put your ass in the sink.
You know, what's funny is I go in. I've got a rather large family, Tim. I don't know if I've ever let that part of my personal life out, but I've got a rather large family.
Yeah,
and I went grocery shopping before I hit the road to film for this next loop in the series of Holzer Files, 2020, coming out this year, folks. And my wife and I went and we just bought a lot of groceries and toilet paper and everything. And people are like, oh, Corona buyers. And I looked at him and I go, no, 11 children. Not that 11 live with me, but who are you to jump on me for what I buy? My God. Now, I will tell you, here's my thought, Tim. I did buy more than I normally would.
Yeah.
Not because I'm fearful of the coronavirus, which I'm not saying it isn't a horrible thing, and God forbid any of us get it. But to be 100% honest, Tim, 100% honest. You don't hear that often. I'm more worried about morons out there hoarding so that, like, just on a weekly basis, I can't go get groceries because everybody's worried about the end of the world.
Right.
So you prep as you want. That's cool. I'm not here to shame you, guilt you, or make you feel bad. And you should not give me dirty looks when I'm buying food because I do have a rather large family. And should you goofballs out there that are in complete meltdown panic mode, which I'm not saying isn't a bad idea, but, you know, I need food in my home for my kids year round, not just during points of turmoil. And especially if my kids are going to be home from school, they're just like devouring locusts.
Well, yeah.
Devouring locusts. So end of the world as we know it. I will tell you this. A lot of this, you know, there's all this, the flu kills more people than this. Well, right, because the flu is widespread and millions have it. Right? When you look at
that's a dangerous thing to say.
Well, what is?
To say the flu kills more people, it's a dangerous thing to say. And actually,
But that is right in this sense. The flu kills more people because more people have the flu. But if you look at the people that have had the coronavirus and how many people died from it, the numbers are much higher.
Right. It has a higher mortality rate.
Right. And it is affecting children, the elderly, and people with immune deficiency issues. So that's a pretty huge swath of our public. So we just got to stay, you know, don't be so dismissive and dickish about it and think you know more than anybody else. They're shutting down. Listen, folks, you have to realize our world runs on an economy. When you shut down the NBA, March Madness, which is one of the biggest times of the year, you start shutting down major events. This isn't just a lark. This isn't an over-alarm. It's something to be concerned about. But, you know, they're trying to keep on top of it. They're trying to just limit the damage, or at least the speed in which the damage could take place. But listen, when we've got national treasures like Rita Wilson and Tom Hanks with it, you know, you got to realize people are like national treasures. But I'm just saying overall, you know, you realize that it can affect everybody and anybody. and you need to be careful of it. Well, wash your damn hands. Even if there's no virus, wash your damn hands.
True. Very true. There's I'll bring up 2 points. One, I keep a very watchful eye on it because I'm in one of those categories. I'm definitely one of those guys who I've got an immune system that's run down from diabetes. So I get a little leery, and hey, I get COVID-19 and I'm probably on death's doorstep. Not going to lie. So I keep a watchful eye out, and I think all of you people are dirty, so I'm going to stay away from you. That's just me. Not being offensive to anybody, just saying I gotta keep a watchful eye out, and I got to make sure that I don't succumb to it because I could end up on a respirator. That's just me. But second, even though you all know my stance on his interviewing technique, Joe Rogan, and you know how I feel about him, there's actually a very useful video out there right now with Dr. Osterholm from the University of Minnesota, who works with the CDC, and it's quickly spreading online, and I'm glad it is, because it shoots down a lot of the people who are naysaying COVID-19 right now. And there's even a 15-second clip, or 15-minute rather clip, off this hour-and-a-half interview with Dr. Osterholm. And it's very, very useful. That 15-minute clip alone shoots down a lot of people who say, oh, it's no worse than the flu and blah, blah, blah. And he gets right down to brass tacks and tells you exactly why COVID-19 is even 10 times worse than the flu, and why we are doing the right thing right now by calling off the NBA season, why we're doing the right thing by separating large groups and telling people that, you know what, we do need to kind of separate for right now and break up the potential of spreading this disease.
That's right.
You know, and kind of not self-quarantining ourselves, because that's essentially what we're doing by breaking up large groups, but by staving it off right now and kind of putting the stop to everything right now and not spreading this disease like they are in Europe and China, and putting the quell to it right now.
I agree.
Because as he put it, and he puts it eloquently, we are not in a COVID-19 blizzard. This isn't something that's going to go away in a week or two. We are in a COVID-19 storm, which is going to last months. So it's something that's going to be around for a while. And so we need to do what we can right now on the front end of it to quell it and make it something that will only last months and not potentially a year or more. So
COVID-19, oh, I swear I believe, could kill all of us. No?
Now, you know what? There's actually a Come On Eileen tune to COVID-19. I don't know if you know that or not.
I know, I just sang it. I don't know.
I know it was kind of off, so I figured I'd clarify for the audience.
Off. Yeah, that was my quick take on it.
Yeah, it's a Tura Lura, type deal.
Yeah. Sorry, jeez.
No, it's okay. I figured.
Just shut me down, break my heart.
I'm not shutting you down.
Whatever.
I'm enhancing what you're doing. It's interpretive dance. It's my interpretive dance around your COVID-19.
And if I stopped singing every time I was off, Tim, I'd never sing at all.
Oh, well.
It's just my deal. All right, let's get started with it. By the way, folks, we want to hear your stories. 651-300-4977. You can always call in and be a part of our show. Leave your voicemail. Tell us your paranormal stories. You can do that by calling our Voices from Beyond voicemail, 651-300-4977, just like this caller.
Good evening there, Dave and Tim. This is Jesus from Round Rock again. Just wanted to share a story about my buddy's house back in West Texas. It's actually the one that I had sent you an email about, the one that was haunted, which was haunted pretty routinely during August, September, every single year, it seemed like. It's kind of a funny story because it's almost like out of a Edgar Allan Poe book. But after I had graduated high school, me and my buddy decided to become roomies. His parents had just moved out, so he wanted somebody to help him pay bills and whatnot. So moved in with him. We were both working at the same place, so we both got out at the same time, and usually we would, have the same group of friends hang out or be waiting for us at his house, ready to party almost on a daily, it seemed like. But one evening when we both had gotten home, and of course we had a couple buddies already waiting on us, we noticed there was this thing on the door, a doorknob on the outside door, of his front door, actually. It was looked like a shriveled little hand or like a little paw, which, we joked saying that it was a little monkey's paw. But it was the weirdest thing ever, just because, the thing was just hanging from our, doorknob. Anyways, what seemed to be, normal weekend as far as, everybody just doing their usual thing, hanging out with us at our place. It seemed like everybody that touched that thing, that little paw, all of a sudden was having a string of bad luck. Thankfully, I didn't touch the thing, but, it seemed like all my buddies that did. There was one that got arrested, one that got really sick, another person, of course, his fault, got caught cheating on his girlfriend, but it was just all in a matter of, the same time that everybody was having a string of bad luck. And then aside from that, we had gone out, a couple of days later, hanging out at another person's house. When we got back, there was all these clothes that were lining up the fence along the house. There was a couple of cars that were parked in front of the house too that had some clothes like all, just lining from the back all the way to the front on the hood. And it was all this old clothes. It didn't look dirty or anything, but it looked like it was out of the 70s. It was almost like somebody placed it, symmetrical along the two vehicles, along the fence, like they're all lined up the same way. And just really odd. Like, can you imagine like pulling up to your house at, midnight, almost, I think it was actually a little after midnight, so it was kind of late, but just pulling up in the dark, with only one little single street light. It was kind of shining down on the house, but you pull up with your headlights just looking at all these, clothes lying everywhere. But yeah, other than that, like I said, as far as the string of bad luck and that clothes, I just remember also somebody coming up to my buddy, like he was sitting out of the front porch. This is probably another day or two after the clothes incident. Somebody was walking down the street, walked up to him. It was like an older gentleman and was just like, hey, you're so-and-so. And he's like, I know your dad and you seem like, you've grown up to be a good kid and blah, blah, and just telling him like, you need to really pray. You need to, keep yourself clean and, this and that, you've got somebody watching over you. You've got, this guardian angel watching over you. And my buddy, of course, normally wouldn't have thought anything, but, with all this weirdness that was going on in the last couple of days, he's just like, he didn't even know who the heck this guy was, but, it was, pretty strange. Somebody just randomly coming up to him and talking to him like he knew him. He said the gentleman too just went off, walked back down the street, the other direction actually. Didn't even ever see that guy ever again. But ultimately, my friends determined that it was that little paw, and I don't know who got rid of it. I don't know if they burned it or whatever it was, but it seemed like after they got rid of it, everything went back to normal. But that was my story. I know a little bit longer, but I'll call back another time with my Vegas trip. But that.
Excellent. Another fantastic caller, another fantastic listener. Heeding the advice of Dave and Tim to give us a call, share your story on the Voices from Beyond voicemail, 651-300-4977. And listen, if you're off because of COVID-19, and you know what I mean, then make sure that you catch up on all the best in Paranormal Talk Radio. Continue to check all of our sites for episodes, past episodes, things that maybe you looked over it last time because you thought that just doesn't sound like my topic. Go listen to it anyway. What else are you going to do? You're at home now. You're off of school. You're off of work. Whatever. Listen to the episodes. You might find some gems in those piles. And I think you will. There's a lot of great episodes people have overlooked, and many episodes that blow up that maybe you didn't get a chance to get to. Go check them all out. You can continue to listen to the best in Paranormal Talk Radio. Why? Because we're still here. All right, Tim, what's our first news story?
That's very Swedish of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, we're going to head to Mars, Dave, where evidently scientists have discovered a strong evidence of life on Mars. It's not enough that they're combating flu viruses here on Earth. They've discovered life on Mars. They're doing double duty, evidently. And if you've got double duty, Dave, you need more toilet paper, which evidently they can find at your house. Yeah, I'm just saying. Well, we've been expecting aliens from Mars for decades now, but what if life was vanquished on the red planet before evolution ever got the chance to take hold? A pair of researchers recently published an analysis of 3.5 billion years old soil samples from Mars containing chemical compounds called theophenes, I guess, that could potentially be organic. And if they are, it could be highly likely that bacteria once lived on the planet. Terrestrial theophenes are considered telltale signs of life by earthbound biologists. This presence of these possibly organic compounds in Martian soil represents the strongest evidence yet that life may once have existed anywhere other than Earth. Before we get ahead of ourselves, however, it's worth mentioning that even the duos who conducted the research are skeptical. A leading theory for the existence of Martian theophenes is actually meteor impacts on the planet's surface, which would make them abiotic, meaning non-organic. Per a press release on the study from Washington State University, they say meteor impacts provide one possible abiotic explanation. Theophenes can also be created through thermochemical sulfate reduction, a process that involves a set of compounds being heated to 248 degrees Fahrenheit or 120 degrees Celsius or more. However, as the press release continues, a slightly less likely but still possible scenario exists where ancient bacteria produces the theophenes. In the biological scenario, bacteria, which may have existed more than 3 billion years ago when Mars was warmer and wetter, could have facilitated a sulfate reduction process that results in theophenes. There are also other pathways where the theophenes themselves are broken down by bacteria. Unfortunately, the Mars rover isn't an astrobiologist. Darn it. It may take human boots on Martian soil to ultimately determine the origin of these theophenes. Whatever. In the meantime, you say one way, I say another.
Penis away from me, sir.
That's right. I tend to waggle it in people's faces every once in a while, but it's in good jest. In the meantime, the team intends to conduct further research and perhaps get more specific test data from the rover itself. The researchers aren't declaring the search for alien life complete just yet. While the presence of theophenes in Martian soil is exciting, it's not the definitive confirmation scientists are looking for. It may be a while before we can say for sure whether life, bacterial or otherwise, ever existed on Mars. Let's say it does turn out that the theophenes are organic, then what? The question is asked. Well, 3 million years ago, there were at least 4 different hominid species roaming Earth. If Mars had living bacteria at the time, it would stand to reason that evolution would have led to more complex life forms unless something happened to prevent the next stage of biological development from occurring. There is a research paper out there from the Journal of Astrobiology that contains more information about it as well. So there you go.
I don't know about you, but I'm excited to know there might be some theophenes out there.
Theophenes or theophenes? Yes. I didn't want to say phenes because, that would say I could say something else.
Stop where you're at. Just stop.
Because you can't have life without a big theophenes. You know what I'm saying?
Tim.
Huh?
Tim.
Huh?
Where are we going next in the world of supernatural news?
Well, we're talking about an exorcist priest who came face to face with the devil himself, Dave.
Do tell, Timothy.
Well, we're talking about Father Gabriel Amorth, who founded the International Association of Exorcists in 1994. In 1997, when a young, slim peasant man was escorted into the small room where Father Gabriel Amorth conducted his exorcisms in Rome, the priest felt immediately confronted by evil. Amorth said he asked for the help of Jesus himself, and the young man began to curse and spit using English instead of his native Italian. His curses and threats were aimed solely at the exorcist. Then he began spitting at him and preparing to attack him physically, writes Marcello Stanzioni. In The Devil is Afraid of Me, the life and work of the world's most famous exorcist, which is out on Sophia Institute Press and out now. Screaming and howling, the demon burst forth and looked straight at him, drooling saliva from the young man's mouth. Amorth said he returned fire with prayers and other ritual recitations, demanding that the demon reveal its name. "Unclean spirit," Amorth bellowed, "whoever you are and all your companions who possess this servant of God, I command you, tell me your name, the day and the hour of your damnation." The man fixed him with a glare and snarled, "I am Lucifer." Amorth was shocked. He did not expect to receive such a terrifying response, Stanzioni writes, but he was convinced he had to keep going as long as he had the strength. Amorth, the official exorcist for the Diocese of Rome, claimed to have performed about 60,000 exorcisms before his death in 2016. Born in Modena, Italy, I almost said Illinois, Modena, Italy, on May 1st of 1925, he knew from around age 10 that he was destined for the priesthood. In 1986, he began an exorcism apprenticeship with the Reverend Candido Montini and went on to found the International Association of Exorcists in 1994, where he served as its long-term president while breaking new ground by speaking openly about his work in the Italian media. Stanzioni is a priest and prolific author who collaborated with Amorth on various writing projects over the past 3 decades, spoke with him extensively over the years about his process. Amorth claimed his exorcisms lasted about 30 minutes on average, and he would often conduct 5 over the course of a morning, by appointment only, with breaks in between for paperwork. He thought it was just as effective to conduct his exorcisms by telephone or Skype. Amorth said an exorcism could be anything from a simple prayer to the full-blown casting out of demons, as depicted in the 1973 Hollywood film The Exorcist, and noted that an exorcism is not a one-time process, but a practice that is regularly performed on a possessed person, sometimes over a period of years. I am content if a mildly serious case, a person is liberated within 4 or 5 years of exorcisms, he said. I have had rare cases of liberations in a few months. For in-person exorcisms, Amorth was usually assisted by 4 laymen who could escort patients to his exorcism room of about 9 feet by 15 feet, which was situated away from the Roman streets so that no one can hear the screams. That's a little creepy in itself. He used an armchair for less agitated patients, a bed and a box with tape and belts used to tie the more robust patients. A photo of St. John Paul II adorned the walls, since demons become very irritable before him, and Amorth always carried 2 wooden crucifixes, an aspergillum for sprinkling holy water, and a vial of consecrated oil. But when he supposedly met the devil in Rome, Amorth says he mostly used prayer as his weapon, reciting verses of liberation from the Roman rite of exorcism. In return, the demon resumed his shrieks, making the possessed turn his head back and his eyes roll. He remained like this with his back arched for a quarter of an hour. As this continued, the room became extremely cold and ice crystals formed on the windows and the walls. As Amorth continually commanded the demon to leave the house, the young man's body stiffened so much that he became hard and began to levitate. For several minutes, he remained hovering 3 feet in the air.
Whew.
Yeah. Finally, the man dropped into a chair, Stanzioni writes. Amorth said he left for the day, but continued to regularly visit the man and pray over him until he was met with no resistance. When he at last sensed the man was at peace, Amorth asked how Lucifer had left the body. The man said he began to howl like never before. Then, at the end of this, he felt new and light, Stanzioni writes. In his line of work, Amorth said he has seen all manner of surprises and claimed that spitting has long been a tool used by demons of possession. There are very many who spit, and they try to guess the exact moment to get you, Amorth said. An exorcist with a little experience learns to defend himself from the spitting, so he tries to put a handkerchief or tissue in front of his face. I recall one who always spit, and I would see it coming in time, so I would put a hand in front of my mouth. Once a possessed person spit at Amorth, and 3 nails materialized in his mouth. Yes, I still have those nails, he told Stanzioni. Amorth also claimed that people become possessed in a variety of ways. This is just wild. The most frequent case, I put it at 90%, is that of the evil spell, Amorth once told an Italian journalist named Marco Tassati. It happens when someone sustains an evil caused by the demon that has been provoked by some person who has turned to Satan or someone who has acted with satanic perfidy, he said. The remaining 10 to 15% regard persons who have participated in occult practices such as seances or satanic sex, who have contacted wizards and fortune tellers. Early in his career, Amorth heard from Reverend Faustino Negrini, a priest near Brescia, Italy, about a 14-year-old girl named Agnese Solomon who had been struck by demonic possession. Amorth accompanied Negrini to one of these sessions with the girl. When Negrini asked the demon, "Why have you taken this girl?" it responded, "Because she is the best of the parish." Negrini said he was unable to liberate the girl until she was 26 years old.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, he was doing it by Skype, and this was the old days of computer, Tim. So he was like, "May the power of Christ buffering, buffering, buffering.
Yeah, it was on
compel
AOL.
you,
Yeah,
compel you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, that must have been. It'd take 26 years just to get through that one exorcism. Sometimes
it would. AOL was very slow in those days. It was
right,
pretty bad. Yeah.
Then heaven forbid he gets interrupted by an IM. Right.
Well, there's that. Yeah.
Sorry, can't talk right now. Performing an exorcism. Let's meet up for coffee at the Bucks later.
Yeah, the Bucks.
Father. Yeah, they're not an advertiser, Tim. I can't say it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, weird, huh?
Today, exorcisms are on the rise worldwide, including in the United States, with the Catholic Church reportedly sending their exorcists to a new institute that trains spiritual warriors. Though no statistics are available, Catholic leaders say there are more exorcists in the U.S. now than at any time in recent memory, and in his lifetime, Amorth laid part of the blame on pop culture. Forms of Satanism are spread by stars and celebrities who have a huge following, such as Marilyn Manson and other satanic rock musical groups, he said. I have nothing against...
He's talking about what?
Rock music?
Pop culture?
Pop culture, yeah.
Talking about...
Pop culture?
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. I have nothing...
pop culture, like paranormal radio shows?
No, not us. We don't spread that at all. No, that's You're not right. Us. We're preaching against it right now. I have... He says, I have nothing against rock music, Amorth went on to say. It is very respectable music. I am against satanic rock. Oh, well, see, he separated it. See, we just had to wait to read it. Amorth also believed that wizards shouldered blame for satanic influence, including everyone's favorite, Harry Potter. Oh, see, he blamed Harry Potter. I'd blame him, too.
Harry Potter was a... satanic rock musician, though.
No, he's a wizard. He went on to blame wizards.
Oh,
yeah.
He's not really. He's a character in a book and on a movie screen. He's not really a wizard.
Well, he says Harry Potter, who he worried could push kids towards a morbid interest in the occult. That's what Stanzioni went on to went on to write, if we truly wish to help children and young people turn away from books poisoned by occultism, it is necessary that parents and teachers have them read good books where the presence of magic is solely an instrument for the moral of the story and not the substance on which the story is centered. Amorth went on to say, by the end of his life, Amorth, who died at age 91 of pulmonary-related illness, had helped discussion of exorcism become more widespread in his home country. Stanzione's book is intended as a memorial tribute and a way to keep his memory and teachings alive. Stanzione went on to say, I always say to whoever questions... Oh, no, this is Amorth, by the way. Said, I always say to whoever questions my way of doing things that I wish to bring Jesus everywhere, even to the doors of hell, Amorth once said. Only in this way does one build the kingdom of God, bringing him everywhere without fear. So there you go.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
God, could you imagine doing that? Somebody spits in your mouth and nails appear?
That would be a little freaky. At that point...
I'd quit. I'd slap the guy and go, enough with you. Go away now. I have no more time. I don't know why he suddenly sounds Romanian, Father Amorth, but that would be what I'd do.
Well, you would think that most people's faith would be shook at that point, but that's why he's an exorcist. Your faith isn't shook at that point. You just keep going.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I know you've got one more exorcism story. Let's talk about that real quick.
Let's see. Yes, this exorcism story saw a 90-pound woman pick up and throw a man twice her size across a room. No big deal. Yeah, just a little light lifting. That's all that was. An exorcist has claimed that he once saw a woman throw a man twice her size across a room as he tried to remove her demon. Pastor Bob Larson says he has performed more than 40,000 exorcisms in a career spanning several decades. Many of his most bizarre rituals are shown on his YouTube channel. But in an exclusive chat with Daily Star Online, Bob revealed one exorcism that was so terrifying it didn't even make its way online. I have seen extraordinarily violent displays of behavior, he told the site. I have seen a 90-pound woman pick up a 200-pound man and throw him across the room. The pastor, who performs exorcisms across the U.S. in his spiritual freedom churches, as well as across the globe, said the troubled woman was usually very docile. He added she was mentally troubled, but in this particular case, it was more than just a mental health issue. These are very dramatic outbursts. It is when we confronted the demon and told the demon to leave the woman. That's where the retaliation took place because the woman was fighting to take control of her. Bob has previously told the site about another ritual that saw a woman having to be restrained by 9 men. Footage of his YouTube channel showed possessed Kachia trying to attack the pastor but being held back. Exorcisms are often subjected to ridicule by skeptics who claim they can be easily faked, but in his exclusive interview with the site, Bob dismissed the critics. I have been doing this for 40 years. Is it really possible that there are that many people that I could have deceived? He asked. If this wasn't authentic, surely people would have noticed, with a question mark. If it were a hoax, the pastor added, it would have been the greatest hoax ever perpetrated. So there you go. That's the end of that, too.
Got an email here. Hello, okay. Dave and Tim. That's you and me, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to share an experience I had not too long ago. Me and my husband had gone upstairs for the night. Our master bedroom is the first room to the right at the top of the stairs. My daughter's bedroom, down the hall, directly opposite of ours, passing 2 bedrooms. We always leave our door open, mainly because of me. Our German Shepherds sleep downstairs. I'd like to make sure I hear any noise so I can react if need be. Our headrest faces the door so I can see if anyone comes in. Probably 15 to 20 minutes go by. I'm laying with my back turned away from my husband trying to sleep. I heard footsteps, open my eyes, and see my daughter at my bedside. I instantly feel like I can't move or speak. I hear my daughter tell me, Mom, Mom, Mom. I'm looking at her, but I still can't move or speak. I see her, then turn around, and I hear her walk to the other side of the bed. She says to my husband, Dad, something's wrong with Mom. Dad, I never heard him respond. I then hear her walk back around the bed and runs out of our bedroom. I hear her steps down the hall. I rouse almost immediately. I turn back around and smack my husband on the shoulder. What did she want? Why didn't you answer her? Isabel was talking to you. He woke up, looked at me like I was crazy. He told me he didn't know what I was talking about. So I got up, pissed now because he ignored her, walked down the hall, opened my kid's door to find her deep asleep. I stood there wondering what was going on. I realized, though, I never saw her face. I never saw eyes, a nose, or a mouth. And my daughter is sleeping in pink PJs. What I saw was dressed all in black. I walk back into the room, husband waiting. I tell him what I saw and heard. He had no clue. We both ended up with a case of the chills. Crazy thing is that this has happened to my mother as well. 2 months after my experience, my mom was in her room. She woke up at 3 a.m. to see my daughter there, asked her in Spanish, "What time is it, Grandma?" Her response was, 3 a.m., Isabel. Go to sleep. In the morning, she realized my daughter had slept downstairs with me. She stared at her for a long time until I asked her what was wrong. She realized who she saw was wearing all black, and my daughter was wearing those same pink PJs. She looked at me and said, "Now that I think about it, she didn't have a face." Sorry for the long email. I love your show. Your fan, Bricia? I don't know how to. Bricia. Bricia. Let's go with Bricia. Does that sound about right, Tim? Bricia?
Something like that.
But Bricia, I've got to take a moment to call you out. Do you know what I'm about to call her out about, Tim?
No idea.
She is frozen in a form of sleep paralysis. Her daughter comes over, tries to rouse her. Mom. When Mom doesn't answer, she goes around the bed. Dad, something's wrong with Mom. Dad. Then, when Bricia is able to rouse herself, she slaps her husband, shakes him, and pissed off at her husband for not answering. Yet she couldn't answer either. That doesn't seem fair. Without even giving her husband a benefit of the doubt that maybe he was frozen in some kind of sleep paralysis as well?
No,
Bricia.
Yeah.
Bricia. Right now, I want you to stop this program. Bricia, you're going to go apologize to your husband. Okay, good job. Welcome back. We knew you'd do the right thing, Bricia. Do you think she did the right thing, Tim, or do you think she just rolled her eyes and said, "I'm not listening to these morons ever again"?
She rolled her eyes, yeah. Women never apologize to men. We should know that by now.
All right. Wow. Wow. That's Tim at darknessradio.com. And to give you ample time to write him hate mail, I'll just take a quick break right now. Stay tuned. You're listening to the best and apparently most opinionated in Paranormal Talk Radio. This is Darkness Radio.
Do you experience stress or have anxiety or even chronic pain or have trouble sleeping at least once a week? I know I do, and I know you're not alone. Many of us do. You know, personally, I think I've told you this many, many times in the last few weeks. I've got 13 herniated discs, neck, back, lower back, especially the lower back lately. The L5S1 has been popping in and out like popcorn. It's not been good. But I've been dealing with my chronic pain in a most conventional way. That's with Feels. Telling you, Feels has been helping me in the best way possible. It's been helping me alleviate that pain and helping me get to sleep. And I told you a little bit about anxiety with chronic pain the other week, and it's been helping with that anxiety as well. I was searching for anything that would help me, and I'm telling you, I discovered Feels, and Feels has been helping me with all those issues. You may be saying to yourself, what is Feels? Well, Feels is premium CBD delivered directly to your doorstep. What does Feels do? Well, Feels naturally helps reduce stress, anxiety, pain, and sleeplessness. And I've got a lot of sleeplessness. I'll tell you, when you've got chronic pain, sometimes you can sleep for an hour, maybe 2 hours, and then you wake up, you've got chronic pain, you got to switch, maybe you got to get up, you got to walk around, maybe you got to wake up and take another pill. You and I both know what that's like. Well, with Feels Feels helps you with that sleeplessness. It helps with that pain, helps with that stress, that anxiety that comes with chronic pain. Feels helps get you to that state where it eases that chronic pain, that underlying pain, not just the sharp pain you have, but that dull achiness, that sensation you have that pain's about to ramp up. You know, that pain I'm talking about, the pain underneath the extreme pain, and the anxiety that comes with chronic pain. You know, that bracing, you know what I'm talking about, where you're tightened up, the muscles are tight, everything is tight, and you're just waiting, anticipating the fact that you're going to be in extreme pain. It gets rid of that anxiety as well. You may have regular anxiety. I say regular anxiety. There's nothing regular about anxiety, I know, Tim, but there's anxiety as well, and Feels helps with that as well. Feels is very easy to take. You just place a few drops of Feels under your tongue, and you feel the difference within minutes. The thing to remember about CBD is that finding the right dose is important, and everyone's dose is different. So leave room to experiment over the course of a week or so. You may need to take more or less to get the effects you're after. Now, me personally, I'm a bigger guy. I am a little doughy around the midsection. That's true. So with me, I tend to need almost a full dropper of Feels. And it's right up to that full line of Feels. I take that, I put it under my tongue in about 30 seconds. Boom. The pain starts to slide away slowly. I feel the anxiety level come down a little bit. And you know what? I'm ready for bed. I'm just telling you right now, it's a nice feeling. Not that it makes you feel weird or anything like that. There's no effects to Feels. There's none of that, you know, grogginess or anything like that you get with the pills that they give you at the doctor. It's just that there's that nice easing of pain. There's that nice easing of the anxiety. So you start to feel normal again. You just want to naturally go take a nap. I never knew what it felt like just to feel normal again before I started feeling Feels. So I just naturally want to go take a nap. If you have questions, there's real human support behind Feels. If you're new to CBD, Feels offers a free CBD hotline to help guide your personal experience, which is awesome. It's absolutely awesome because all of us have questions from time to time about Feels. You can feel better naturally with Feels. Feels works naturally to help you feel better. There's no high, no hangover, no addiction, none of that weird feeling on the way up or blah feeling or bad feeling on the way down, because it's all natural and it helps you feel better naturally. Join the Feels community to get Feels delivered to your door every month. You'll save money on every order, and you can pause or cancel at any time. It's extremely convenient to you, although once you start feeling Feels, I don't know why you'd ever want to stop. It's amazing, and it absolutely helps you on your journey to getting out of chronic pain, to your journey to getting out of anxiety, and reducing stress and sleeplessness. I don't know why you'd ever want to stop feeling Feels. Feels has me feeling my best every day, and it can help you too. You want to become a member today by going to Feels, that's FEALS.com/darkness, and you'll get 50% off your first order with free shipping. I don't think you can beat that anywhere. That's Feals, FEALS.com/darkness to become a member and get 50% automatically taken off your first order with free shipping. Get rid of pain, get rid of stress, get rid of anxiety, get rid of sleeplessness today. It's real simple, folks. Go to Feals, FEALS.com/darkness, become a member, get 50% automatically taken off your first order with free shipping. That's Feals.com/darkness. From the creators of Cold Case Files and PD Stories comes the next great true crime podcast, I Survived. Every week, I Survived presents chilling first-person accounts from people who overcame deadly situations, allowing the survivors to describe the events as they unfolded and how they made it out alive. If you love true crime, you're going to love I Survived. Be sure to subscribe on Spotify, PodcastOne.com, Apple Podcasts, and many other podcast apps so you can get new episodes every week.
All right, I've got another email here for us, Tim.
Okay.
Hi, Dave. That's how this one starts out, Tim. Hi, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
I met you back in January on Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling Rager Cruise. Nice job. Got the whole thing in there, Tim. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was there for the s'mores and spooky stories session on the outdoor deck on the final night of the cruise, and I had a blast. Something you said that night stood out to me. I remember you mentioned how a lot of people will write off children when they talk about having a paranormal experience because people just assume that children have no idea what they're talking about. They usually don't. You offered the advice of, if your child does tell you what they saw or that they saw something, listen to them. Let them explain it in their own words. Don't try to direct the story by saying such things as, was it scary? I thought about my own paranormal experience and I decided to share it for the first time in many years. My grandfather's best friend passed away on November 7th, 1988, just 3 days after my 3rd birthday. I'm now 34, and I still remember him like I saw him yesterday. We lived with my grandparents until I was about 6 years old. I still vividly remember my grandfather's best friend coming to the house and playing with my siblings and I. I still remember his battle with cancer and the day he passed. I have no idea how I'm able to remember it so well, being that I was only 2 to 3 years old at the time, but I do remember. Not long after his passing, I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw his head sitting on my dresser. No body, just a white head smiling at me. I shouted, "It's Mr. Cliff!" and woke up my sister, whom I shared a room with. My sister saw it and started screaming bloody murder. My mother was asleep in the next room. She woke up and came in to see what all the screaming was about. She saw the same ghost head that we did, and I'm fairly certain that she had a bit of an accident in her pants. She ran into the bathroom and started screaming even louder. My sister and I ran into the bathroom, and there he was, this time a full body standing in front of us. My mother, in her terror, thanked him for visiting, but asked him to go visit his wife instead because she was too freaked out by him. With that, he was gone. I've shared this story with a few people over the years, but there's one part that I've kept to myself until now. I was being abused at that time. When I saw him, in a way, it felt like he was watching over me. Now, as an adult survivor of childhood abuse, I believe that he stayed with me so that I would be able to share my story and help others heal from their own traumatic experiences. I appreciate your time, and I hope to see you on the cruise again next year. Thank you. That comes from Liz in Maryland. Liz, thank you for sharing your story. And what a powerful story. But I don't know, dude. If I roll over and there's the glowing white head of my grandfather's friend, whether I adore the guy or not, no. I think there's going to be some screams, some yells. I might shove my wife at him. I don't know. I don't know what I could say, Tim, to be honest with you. And then, for God's sakes, don't be in the bathroom with me. Come on, dude. Little decorum.
Well,
you tinkle yourself, you run in the bathroom, and there he is waiting for you.
Ta-da! Thought you said at one time if you were going to see a ghost, you'd prefer it be in the bathroom because then...
Right, that's where you don't mind it getting scared out of you.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go. What is our next bit of supernatural news?
Well, speaking of kids seeing ghosts, Mom was left terrified after her son appeared in a doorway after wearing glow-in-the-dark PJs.
What?
Yeah, that's what it says here. Ordinarily, it is parents who have to comfort their frightened children in the middle of the night, but the dynamic was flipped on its head in a U.S. home after a 2-year-old gave his mom the fright of her life with his glow-in-the-dark PJs. Angela Kelsey from Edinburgh, Indiana. I'm sure it's just Edinburgh. Yeah, because it's the U.S.
Because it's Indiana, yeah.
Yeah.
Might even be Edinburgh. Who knows?
It could be Edinburgh, yeah, because it's Indiana. Was tucked up in bed when she heard her bedroom door creak open. Naturally, Angela, who is mom to 15-year-old Cash, 10-year-old Eli, or L-E, one or the other. There's two L's there, probably L-E. And 2-year-old Lennox.
Could just be L.
Could be L, yeah, because it's Indiana. And 2-year-old Lennox. It's about as vanilla as it comes there in Indiana. And 2-year-old Lennox assumed it was her youngest. However, when she opened her eyes, she was met with a sinister pair of glowing eyes looking back at her. And according to this photo, they are pretty sinister. The 36-year-old said, in the middle of the night, I heard our bedroom door creak open. I figured it was my 2-year-old son, Lennox, but it was pitch black, so I couldn't tell. I blinked away the sleep so I could help him into our bed, but instead, in the doorway was a set of terrifying glowing eyes and mouth. It wasn't a random light, and it was hovering only a foot or so above the ground. And I don't do scary movies. I watched Paranormal Activity about 5 years ago and still have demon-related PTSD. Oh, somebody needs to hike up their skirt there, I'm just saying. I mean, paranormal.
Wow, you are a judgy-wudgy today.
Just saying, Paranormal Activity, really? At this point in her groggy Paranormal Activity scared state, or scarred state, as it says here, Angela convinced herself that her 120-year-old home was being haunted by some kind of ghost, and she was preparing to take action to defend herself. She said, I was praying, calling upon the Lord to help me out, even though my relationship with the big guy isn't really consistent. But I quickly realized
he doesn't call, he doesn't write. He's gone for months on the road with his buddies, the quote-unquote apostles. Yeah, I get it.
I think it's more on her end. I think she doesn't call, she doesn't write. She probably doesn't stop in more than on holidays, that type of deal. But she's,
back. I got it.
Yeah, she said, but I quickly realized I was on my own. I was ready to throat chop the thing as it came closer. It was time.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Throat chopping a demon.
Throat chopping the demon. That's the name of my new album, by the way. It was time for some real life demon slaying, she said. I've never been so utterly and completely petrified. Fortunately for Lennox and his throat, he spoke out. And Angela made the merciful discovery that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pajamas she had bought her son were in fact glow in the dark. Should probably pay attention to the label there, lady. She said, all of a sudden I heard a whisper, a little, Mommy? With a question mark. I've never felt such relief. It was just my Lennox. I flipped on the bedside light to reveal an apparently glow-in-the-dark Ninja Turtle shirt, and it was at this moment I realized two things. My baby has a future as a ninja because he was absolutely soundless, and I nearly throat-chopped my 2-year-old. So there you go.
Yikes. Hey, Tim, we have some bad news to share in the world of the paranormal. Longtime friends of our show, Brad and Sherry Steiger, who had been guests on Darkness Radio numerous times and actually were active listeners of the show. Mm-hmm. We lost Brad Steiger not too long ago, and it has just come to our attention that we lost Sherry Steiger on the 7th.
Oh, no.
So she has passed away as well. I just had received a message from her back on Valentine's Day wishing me and my family a happy Valentine's Day. She was a fan of Holzer Files, a fan of Darkness Radio. She and Brad had been a part of our show and have been authors of many fantastic books. So the Steigers will be missed. Our thoughts and prayers from Darkness Radio go out to the Steiger family, relatives, and friends that are left behind. Thank you so much, Brad and Sherry. Thank you for all the entertainment, all the great books.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, Dave. First of all, I love your podcast. You and Tim are the perfect balance with each other, and it's obvious that you guys go way back. Oh, we go way back. Way back. Usually, I'm listening at 2 a.m, which is so nice for me because no one else is awake. You're great company. Thank you, Susan. We appreciate that. Your episode on the journey was riveting for me. I've spent the last 15 years studying Carl Jung, the spiritualist church, and shamanism. I'm 67 and I live in northern Michigan where everyone is Catholic. I've wanted to experience the exact journey you took, but cannot find a trustworthy source. I know you protected the woman who helped you, but I'm wondering if you could share with me how to find someone like her in Michigan or the Chicagoland area where I grew up and have tons of family. I might be able to help you with that, Susan. Theoretically, if I were to answer this email Wink, wink. The best part of your experience is that you lost your fear of death. Yep, still have. I felt so bad for you when you lost your mom and how you struggled. I've worked with hospice in Michigan for years, and absolutely, not absolutely, Tim. That's not a word. Right. Absolutely not a word at all.
No.
Look it up. I'll wait.
Okay, hold on. Absolutely. You know what? It is a word. It has to do with the coronavirus.
God. Just my luck. Absolutely know that life continues for all of us, but I also know that you are not alone in that many people fear death, and when a loved one dies are tortured, and it's tragic. For me, I lost a friend when I was 16 and blamed myself for decades. Similar to you and your friend Deb, I attempted suicide and ended up in a hospital. I was at a turning point for me. Never again. The pain it caused my family can't be measured. You chose the word forgiveness. I'm not sure what mine would be, but I know that I need spiritual advice to help me do and learn before I die. I'm convinced that we are here for specific tasks to help us, and I don't want to waste this life. I really, really don't want to come back. You might have the impression that I'm a downer person, but you'd be wrong. I don't have that impression at all. You're being very uplifting and supportive. I get that. I can feel your light coming through the email. I love people, nature, I know, the outdoors, and life. I seek the truth in all things. And Dave, don't waste your words on Bigfoot. It makes me laugh, but honestly, we'll figure it out soon enough. Thank you. Oh, she doesn't want, because I said maybe my next word would be Bigfoot when I do my journey.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what I can and can't do, Sue. Thank you, Dave, for being you. You're funny, real, deep, and have a gift to connect to us all. Your fan and friend, Sue. Well, thank you, Sue. I appreciate the kind words. I will, in fact, send you some resources to examine for yourself. How about that? Is that a fair enough thing to say, Tim?
Yeah.
Okay. Where are we off to next in the world of supernatural news?
Well, earlier you were talking about Dracula remakes. It's time now to go down that wormhole. Blumhouse is delving into it. They're remaking Dracula with director Karen Kusama in an effort to keep its classic Monsters franchise, previously dubbed the Monsterverse, alive and running and riding the success of The Invisible Man's #1 opening at the box office. Universal has now announced that it will be remaking the classic Dracula film. Helming production for the remake is Jason Blum's studio Blumhouse Productions, an expert in horror and thrillers with a body of work including the Paranormal Activity franchise, the Sinister series, and The Purge. The movie is reported to be set in the present and will tap the invitation and Jennifer's Body director Karen Kusama, Matt Manfredi, and Phil Hay, both of whom have worked with Kusama previously and will be penning the script. There's no further information on potential cast members or when the movie would be released, so fans of the original Dracula should definitely be on the lookout for more updates that arise. So let me ask you this, Dave. If you've got to do a current spin on Dracula, what take do you want to take first?
I don't know. Here's my deal. Dracula Untold was the movie I thought nobody needed until I saw it and I loved it. I really loved Dracula Untold. I would like to just see that series continue.
Yeah, I would too.
But I'm interested in the Blumhouse version of Dracula. I don't know how you would contemporize it and make it happen now, but I'm not sure. There's one other very short bit of news that I didn't send over to you, but Doug Jones, the actor, he supposedly had been tapped to redo Nosferatu. And I guess that is finally getting off the ground. So his version of Count Orlok may be realized soon. It's been something, I guess, in production hell for the last 4 or 5 years, but it looks like that version may be coming out as well.
Interesting.
And it appears we have another Dracula-related story.
That's right. Former ER and Timeless star, I don't remember how to pronounce this guy's last name, Goran
Viznik.
Viznik, that's right. Has been cast as Dracula in the ABC pilot The Brides. Former ER star Goran Viznik is taking on the role of Count Dracula in the forthcoming series from ABC The Brides. This isn't the actor's first time in a paranormal supernatural setting. Before putting on a white coat at County General in the ever-popular television series ER, or joining the team in the time travel drama Timeless. Viznik portrayed the less than stellar character of Jimmy Angeloff in the movie Practical Magic, which starred Sandra Bullock. And the fantasy drama, which was released in 1998, was early in Viznik's career, which gave him the opportunity to play a bad boy role with a supernatural edge. Now Viznik has been cast as King of All Vampires, Dracula, in the ABC's new supernatural drama series, The Brides, which already stars Gina Torres, Kathleen Rees, Chris Mason, and Sophia Tatum. Although his brides will be the main focus of the show, Dracula will play a role as he is the reason the vampire sisters have joined together. The plot summary, according to Deadline, describes the new series as a family drama, and the family couldn't be complete without the vampire who started it all. The summary reads as stated: a sexy contemporary reimagining of Dracula as a family drama with a trio of powerful female leads at its heart, with strong horror elements. The Brides is a vampire soap about empowered, immortal women and the things they do to maintain wealth, prestige, legacy, and their non-traditional family. Whether this Dracula engenders viewer sympathy or is cast as the ultimate villain, the Brides seek to destroy remains to be seen, but all signs point to Goran Viznik's role as much more than evil than the zombified character he ultimately played in Practical Magic. The pilot episode of The Brides is being written by Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, who developed Riverdale, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and the CW's newest drama, Katie Keene, which are all good indications of the dark drama we can expect. So there you go.
It's here's something pretty cool. I'm a big fan of Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. Goran, is that, I say Goran Viznik, I believe. He just starred in an episode where he portrayed Nikola Tesla.
Oh, okay.
And it's a really cool story. Man, do they beat up on Thomas Edison. But Tesla really comes out like a hero in the story. It's very neat. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's like The Nightmare for Nikola Tesla, or The Night of Terror for Nikola Tesla, something like that. But it was a great episode. All right. Where are we going next, sir?
Well, as long as we're in that vein, let's talk about 1408, the creepy true story that inspired the movie. What's more terrifying than a horror movie? It could be a horror movie based on a true story. So here's the creepy real-life haunting that inspired 1408. The creepy true story behind that horror movie, 1408, was directed by Swedish filmmaker Mikael Hofström. 1408 was released back in 2007 and hailed as one of the best horror movies of that year. It starred John Cusack as Mike Enslin, a paranormal skeptic who pens books debunking supernatural occurrences. His latest investigation takes him to a grand New York City hotel named the Dolphin that's home to an infamously haunted room, the titular 1408. Despite warnings from hotel manager Gerald Olin, played by Samuel L. Jackson, Mike insists on staying in 1408 and soon finds his skepticism tested in terrifying ways. 1408 is based on the short story of the same name, penned by the master of the macabre, Stephen King, that first appeared in his self-narrated audiobook, Blood and Smoke, and later in his short story collection, Everything's Eventual. In the movie, Mike records his thoughts on room 1408, stating, "Hotel rooms are a naturally creepy place, don't you think? I mean, how many people have slept in that bed before you? How many of them were sick? How many of them lost their minds?" That line is ripped almost verbatim from the foreword King wrote for 1408 in Everything's Eventual, but the inherently creepy nature of hotel rooms wasn't the only inspiration for the story. According to an IMDb trivia tidbit, Stephen King was inspired to write 1408 after reading about an investigation conducted by parapsychologist Christopher Chacon at San Diego's Hotel del Coronado. Built in the late 1880s, the luxurious hotel was a playground for Hollywood's elite back in the roaring 20s and hosted stars including Charlie Chaplin, Mae West, and Greta Garbo, but it's most famous for a tragic incident that took place there a few years after its grand opening. In 1892, a young woman named Kate Morgan checked into the Hotel del Coronado on Thanksgiving under a false name and informed staff that she was waiting for a male companion. 5 days after checking in, however, Kate's body was found on a flight of stairs leading to the beach after she took her own life. Since then, hotel guests and employees have reported several spooky incidents, mostly centered around the third-floor guest room that Morgan occupied, like objects inexplicably moving by themselves or disembodied voices and footsteps. Funnily enough, it wasn't Kate Morgan's original room in which Christopher Chacon experienced paranormal goings-on, but another room that was part of the maid's quarters. After setting up infrared cameras, magnetic meters, and the like, Chacon and his team detected a total of 37 abnormalities in the former maid's room, including a glass that fell to the floor by itself. Chacon's experiences weren't quite as terrifying as what poor Mike Enslin endures in 1408, but they're still pretty creepy, and unlike the titular room in Stephen King's story, guests can stay in the haunted rooms at Hotel del Coronado if they dare. So there you go.
If they dare.
If they dare.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. I mean,
Kind of a cough.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Probably want to get that checked out. Yeah.
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 Yep. I think I've burned out any chance of the coronavirus by my constant IV infusion of Jameson.
Oh, that'll do it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Dave. I just wanted to let you know I had a spontaneous healing while listening to your Journey podcast. I feel so grateful and blessed that you shared your experience with us all. Thank you, and God bless you. And that comes from Deanne. Thank you, Deanne. That's pretty powerful. A spontaneous healing, Tim.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Hey, Dave. This could be one of the most important emails of the year right here, Tim.
Okay.
Short, sweet, succinct, to the point. Hey, Dave, last Sunday's show was an amazing journey. Along with the spiritual healing, you mentioned you quit drinking soda. I'm 50, and like you did, I drink at least 5 cans of soda a day. Mountain Dew. Please, kind sir, enlighten me with your brilliance so that I too can vanquish this scourge. I understand you're a busy man, so thank you for all that you do and the time you give. That comes from Shad, Tim. Shad. Could be Chad, but I'm going to make it sound more continental. Shad.
All right.
It was simple as this. I stopped drinking soda. Yeah, that was it.
Simple
really.
as that, huh?
Yeah, I didn't. I drink water. Maybe on rare occasion a Gatorade, like zero.
Mm-hmm.
But I've just started noticing every drink I pick up, how much sugar is in it.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't miss it. I really don't. No, I still treat myself. I'm doing intermittent fasting. I'll be happy to tell everybody I'm down 15 pounds.
Oh, good.
I'm feeling better. My clothes are fitting better. I had to go buy a new belt yesterday, so that's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the deal. Once you start realizing that you can just walk away from some things, it's better. But I also remind myself I'm not giving up anything. I can have whatever I want whenever I want. And on days that I've weakened, and it's been about 3, maybe 4 days out of the last 42, where I'm like, okay, my fasting time slot is, noon to 8 p.m., right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times I don't even eat until 4 in the afternoon. I'm done by 8 p.m. So I'm really cutting it down to a 4-hour gap. But then there's been times I've done that, and then at midnight I'm starving or I get a craving. And I'm like, I'm not going to deny myself because then that becomes laborious. So I have a little snack, maybe a donut or a cookie or a bag of chips. But then I just start the fast over again from that point. So I'm waiting another 16 to 18 hours before I eat again. So I just give myself permission to be human. And it's okay that if I waver from time to time, as long as those gaps I'm measuring are still 16 to 18 hours between the time I ate. So even though I might have gone outside my gap, I just started over then. And that's really worked well for me. So I've done that for maybe 3-4 times, but I still, the next day, I wait another 16 to 18 hours before I eat again. So I feel very good about it. I feel more energetic. I got to be honest, I don't have as many headaches or bogged down feelings. So I like what I'm doing. It works for me. And I don't miss, you know what I miss is the flavor of soda in my mouth.
Okay.
I don't miss the effects it has on my body, you know?
Right.
So maybe, maybe just start just drinking straight water. That's really all I drink. I try to drink 10, 16 ounce, between 7 to 10, 16 ounce bottles of water a day. And it keeps me pretty well sated in my thirst. When I crave something a little flavorful, I might get, hint or something like that that's got a little bit of flavor to it. But I really try to stay away from the sugary drinks and substances. Black coffee, green tea, and water, and it's worked wonders for me.
Interesting.
So there you go. Yep. Dave Schrader, saving lives. That's all I got to say.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I know.
I don't know. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I know a lot of it is I think probably 50 to 75% of it is the psychological battle. But behind every craving or behind every need, I guess, for lack of a better term, like soda, you're saying soda. For me, my battle with soda is psychological. It's the psychological block of I need. You tell yourself I need. Well, you need to get behind what is that need. Why are you telling yourself, if I don't have it, I'm denying myself. And we all have our reasons, and sometimes you have to go all the way back to childhood to figure out why you think you need that thing in your life. And it may sound kind of woo-woo by putting it that way, but a lot of times if you sit down and give yourself 20 minutes and sit down and say, why do I feel like I need to have this every single day? And it's not just routine. You tell yourself it's just routine. I just feel like I need to have it. It's not. It's something deeper. It's always something deeper. Whether it comes down to feelings, whether it comes down to I feel like I need it as a crutch to wake myself up, or whatever it is. There's always something deeper as to why I need this in my life. And a lot of times you can get rid of it when you're ready to move on and get rid of it. In your case, you were ready to move on and get rid of it because you were ready to make a change.
Well, and I've given up soda before. I gave it up for almost a year and a half once. Mm-hmm. And then I just slowly work it in. You're like, oh, well, I'll just have a rum and Coke. And then, you like the flavor and you go back to it. But I really realized this time around, I just don't need it. It doesn't serve me and I'm fine with it. I do miss some of the excitement of the bubbly feel in my mouth of the water, but I've just replaced it with bubbly water.
Yeah.
That has good flavor to it. And there's a bunch of good ones out there. So, but just I'm paying more attention to what I'm putting into my body because so much of it is just garbage. With that said, I still eat fast food on rare occasion, but I'm trying to be a lot more cognizant of these moments. So good luck. I hope that works. All right, let's get back to it. What's our next story?
Well, there's an interesting article out there, Dave, about a woman who's convinced that her ex brought paranormal activity into my house. It says bought paranormal activity, but brought paranormal activity into her house. So I want to read that article just real quick because it's kind of interesting. It says, I'm going to read it from her perspective. It says, even when we moved home, the ghosts followed us. She says, I met my ex-husband in July 2014. I had no previous problems with any ghosts or paranormal activity in my flat until then. When he moved into my flat or apartment with me, a few weird things would happen, like things being moved and noises at night. In the early hours of one morning around 1 a.m., the sound bar in my front room came on full volume. In itself, this was freaky, but put it down to just one of those things. The next night, we turned it off at the mains, or in the front. It did the same thing the following night of coming on full blast. We completely unplugged it, the sound bar, from the wall that night. And it did the same thing. There was no possible way it was anything to do with wiring, etc., and it had no electricity or power to it as it was unplugged. Shortly afterwards, I asked whatever it was in the flat to leave. The ghost, that was. Things settled down for a few weeks, and then other little things would happen, like taps coming on at night. We ended up putting the flat up for sale not long after that, the apartment, purely coincidentally as we got engaged and we were moving anyway. I then bought the current house we live in at the end of November 2015, and my husband and I got married in July of 2016. When we first moved in there were a few weird occurrences with noises and footsteps upstairs and items being moved. We first saw someone standing at the doorway of our bedroom late one night. My husband saw someone and freaked out and then shouted that there was someone standing at the doorway. This was the first time we actually saw someone. When I was pregnant with my eldest there would be more things that happened, but nothing sinister. When my eldest was born and he went into his own bedroom, he would wake up in the night and he would hear someone on the monitor shushing him. So it wasn't a horrible negative feeling then. She goes on to say, I fell pregnant with my second child, and it wasn't an easy pregnancy, nor was it an easy birth. He was born 10 weeks premature and had a lengthy stay in the hospital with a lot of struggles along the way. There were numerous times that we nearly lost him, and the stress and pressure of everything took its toll on my husband and we began to break apart. My ex-husband then moved into the summer house in the garden, and there was a weird sense of calm in the house when he moved out of the house. I had a terrible time with my youngest. He cried and wouldn't want to be put down. My husband would look after him on Friday nights. That's when things started happening in the house again. I don't know if the ghost was angered by my ex-husband, but things would start to move again, and footsteps would walk around upstairs and up and down the stairs. Now, I want to stop right here for a second, Dave, and ask you something.
Okay.
Because I had a conversation with a mutual friend of ours. And it had to do with stuff going on in my own house. Here, this new house that I just moved into. So I'm going to ask you, at this point in the story, do you think, now hearing that things happen every time that the ex-husband comes in, do you think it has to do with poltergeist activity having to do with the ex-husband?
I'm not sure, because it could be that he's working as the catalyst, or it could be that something in the house is not pleased when he's there and maybe protective. I'm not quite sure.
Okay, let me continue with the story and we'll see. In March last year, I ended up getting very poorly and ended up with sepsis. I was at home and wasn't feeling very well. In fact, was feeling really poorly. I had my aunt staying with me and had to get my ex-husband to come in and do my son's feeds, and I kept feeling a presence. Things started to turn a corner with my son not long after. My ex-husband moved out and things in the house felt calm again, as if the spirits had completely gone, until he had to move back due to housing issues and the spirits appear to return. Footsteps up and down the stairs, walking around upstairs along the corridor, things being moved, a sudden chill in the room, doors being closed when I'd left them open or vice versa. And then I'd see things on my eldest son's baby monitor, like shadows over the bed, or hear someone walking around the room. Then one night, we had a big argument, and he became threatening, so I told him to leave the house immediately. He left, and that night, but a few weeks later, my ex-husband had the kids at my house while I went away. It says, and then he returned. He left, and then it's kind of a confusing sentence. Shortly afterwards, I got a message around 10 o'clock saying he had heard a noise and looked at our son's monitor, and the sound bar on it was going to top volume, and it sounded like someone dragging something along the floor. He said our son was fast asleep, but when he went upstairs to check anyway, he said the bedroom door had been opened even though he had shut it. About 10 minutes later, the same thing happened, a dragging noise along the floor upstairs, and the sound bar along the monitor was at full bars. He went back upstairs, and the door was open again, and our son was still fast asleep. He thought nothing of it and went to bed. Now, a bit later, he was woken up by a noise again and went in the room, and our son's bed had been moved away from the wall into the middle of the room. Well, you can imagine I got back on the Sunday night completely freaked out and couldn't bear to put my son in his bedroom, so I put him in my bed. Since then, I kept hearing noises from upstairs throughout the night and his bedroom door opening in the night despite me shutting it. Then the other night, his bed had moved up been moved again away from the wall. We've asked the spirit to leave, but so far it seems to be in the house. I don't know why my ex-husband has this ghost following him around, but it certainly is creepy. So now I ask you this question again. Do you think it's a ghost, or do you think it's poltergeist activity having to do with the husband?
Well, again, unfortunately, it's impossible to really say without being there and witnessing how this goes. But I'm not sure. What are your thoughts?
See, I tend to, after having talked to this mutual friend of ours, I wonder, I start to think about maybe there might be some sort of anger issue or PK issue that has to do with poltergeist activity and having to do with maybe a spirit aligning with the husband and feeding off his anger. I really do.
I mean, it very well could be. I'm not sure.
I really do think it. Not only does it line up with the ex-husband, because when the ex-husband goes, so does the activity. But to me, it seems more like poltergeist activity than anything else. Because when the ex-husband leaves, so does the activity. It's very interesting, though. It's an interesting case. That's for sure. Very cool. And remember, folks, we want to hear your stories. We want you to share your paranormal activity with us, whether it's been ghosts or witches, aliens or monsters, Bigfoot or chupacabra. Chupacabra. We want to hear your stories. Maybe you played with a Ouija board and had a funny experience, a terrifying experience, a heartwarming experience. We want to know about it. 651-300-4977. 651-300-4977. Give us a call, just like this caller.
Dave and Tim, thank you so much for the laughs. Thank you for making me smile as I listen to your podcast. This is Vera, and I'm from follow-up for my story that I previously submitted in regards to my friend Luann. I had sent a lengthy message with our previous history. Just wanted to let you know as a follow-up, the bridge story. That was the most horrible, terrifying experience that I have ever encountered. Going over that bridge, myself, Luann, my boyfriend at the time, my sister, and a very dear friend of mine, and the horrible experience. It was the most dreadful experience we have ever had. Fast forward to several years later, Luann goes off to college at CU in Boulder. My friend goes off to college as well to CU Boulder. I moved to Northern California. My sister moves to Denver. We're all about our own business. This is probably 6 years later when I have this most horrific dream of Luann coming to me saying, walking together into a bar, and she looks at me and we're smiling and it's supposed to be a happy time, and she looks at me and says, Vera, pray for me, I'm dead. I just woke up in shivers. A terrifying experience. Told my husband about the dream and just kind of moved on. The next night I had the same dream, walking in, and of course I didn't learn anything from the first dream, and I'm just as happy, and she looks at me and grabs me by my arms, shakes me and says, Vera, I am dead. They can't find me. You know where I am. I am just screaming, jumping out of bed. I am so terrified that I can't go to work for the next couple of days, take a mental health day, lie to everybody around me because I'm just terrified. It was just such an unnerving experience, a horrible dream. I call home, talk to my mother, and ask if things are going okay. She says they're fine. Call my sister. Of course, she's in Denver and is not aware of what's going on in Pueblo. Everything's fine. I have this dream for 3 consecutive nights of her coming to me and saying, pray for me, I am dead. Tell them where to find me. Never occurs to me that she's under the bridge. And lo and behold, I get a call from my sister. They found her body under the bridge, pinned to a rail, where we had that experience of dread maybe 7 years prior. I don't know why she was there. Her boyfriend was found several miles down the road or down the ditch in another town. But that was my third experience with the paranormal that just unnerved me and brought me to a mental health state, would you call it. When I get it together, I'll call with another experience because that was absolutely terrifying. Thank you again.
All right, Tim, where are we off to next?
Well, we're off to Britain, where aliens exist and Earth will be hit in Independence Day style attack. This according to some Britons in a poll, and what they're saying, not according to their government, but according to this particular poll that they took in Britain. More than 2/3 of believers say that the government must put a plan in place to deal with a sudden ET spaceship. This according to a poll that was taken in Britain. Half of Britons, or Britannians, is that how you, I don't think that's how you say it, but half of us is what the article says. This was taken by the Daily Star, by the way, say that aliens exist and that Earth will face an Independence Day style attack in the next 50 years. So no need to get all riled up right now. More than 2/3 of believers say that the government must plan.
How about now? Can I get riled up right now?
Okay, now you can. Now.
Okay.
Yeah, but
what? What?
Only if you're in Britain, though.
Oh. What?
Yes. What I say?
Mm-hmm.
More than 2/3 of believers say that the government must put a plan in place to deal with a sudden ET spaceship invasion, according to a poll. And worryingly, 71% of them say this planet is already secretly hosting aliens who may have first touched down on Earth thousands of years ago. UFO expert Nick Pope said these fascinating findings say as much about distrust of government denials on UFOs as they do about people's belief in extraterrestrial visitation. This new survey supports my view that there needs to be a government plan for first contact with extraterrestrials, irrespective of whether they turn out to be hostile or friendly. Even if you think it's unlikely, it's common sense to have a plan for something when the consequences would be so impactful. Londoners, the Welsh, and those in the southwest of England were the biggest believers in extraterrestrial life, according to the poll. A new sci-fi series, War of the Worlds, that inspired the new study, airs on Fox at 9 p.m. on Thursdays over there in the UK. So there you go.
Are we sure it's not the UCK?
The UCK. It is the UCK, Dave. Thank you for clarifying all that.
Yeah, I like to try to help where I can, Tim.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Let's see here. I don't know. This is crazy. I'm not going to read that. That's a insane email. Yeah, I'm judging, Tim. I'm a judgy judger, Tim.
You're a judgy judger, Tim?
Yeah.
Huh.
Hey, man. Check out me and my friend's encounter from back in 2010. I'm 26. This experience still scares me to this day, and I'll remember it for the rest of my life. I recently sent my experience and the drawing I did of the being to someone that was First Nations on Instagram that lives in British Columbia, not far from me, and he knew what it was right away. Told me that the name of the being was in their language and showed me their culture's high status symbol, which was a double-headed serpent shaped like a U with an additional double-headed serpent with horns on the back and head. I was told to flip upside down because it represents the beings. I was told a little bit of other information and told not to make specific burial offering, and told to make a specific burial offering. I did some recent research based off of what he told me, and I found out some of the other various names, different First Nation cultures call them night crawlers here in British Columbia. I posted them at the very bottom of my encounter. Here's the story. I entered my friend's backyard, 5-acre forest at night, close to 1 a.m. Both of us immediately saw something out of place down the path below, about 30 to 40 feet away from us, between the trees that was tall, white, and three-dimensional. It appeared to be completely white and soft like white, but it did not illuminate the trees or ground around it. There was no face or any facial features we could see, no arms, and it was shaped like an upside-down V or U. It was making creepy swaying movements with its whole body, 2 legs left to right, back and forth silently, still standing on the forest floor in the exact same spot the whole time we saw it. It was so white that you could see the shadow being cast on it, or the shadow being cast on it while it was swaying like it was a real animal. It did not pick up its legs or walk at all. I can only explain it as looking like 7 to 8 foot, really white, soft, shiny, separated curtains in the shape of an upside-down V or U, with bulkiness shaped to the top. The 2 long arms almost looked as if the front view of an ape crawling on all fours would look like, as if it were hunched in front. It was moving left to right in a specific motion, standing on the forest floor in the same area between the trees, making absolutely no sound. And there was absolutely no wind. It was beautiful to look at, but terrifying at the same time. We watched it in silence as it was swaying, and I started to feel the sense of impending doom. You know, that sinking feeling in your chest? It set in, and it felt like I was going to die or something bad might happen. I told my friend specifically, I don't like this. He agreed, and we immediately left the forest. We went back in the morning, and there was nothing out of the ordinary. Spiderweb, garbage bag, anything in the spot where we saw the supernatural being. That comes from Chris. Thank you, Chris. That was a good little creepy tale.
Yeah. Well.
All right. How many stories do we have left?
We got one left.
One left, ladies and gentlemen, our final supernatural news story of the day.
Well, kind of piggybacking on the last story about Britons being afraid of extraterrestrial life, new research says that alien life is almost a certainty. So, you know, duck and cover. Just saying.
Okay.
Yeah. On a positive note, though, the dating pool is now that much bigger.
Well, there's that, I guess.
So all you want to be Captain Kirks, hey, you know what? Get out your breath spray and pony up. Just saying. I don't know what that means. NASA is dedicated to getting daily life in the universe, and a new study indicates that it could be prevalent when getting into account how life's creating blocks spontaneously from all over the universe. The study, posted in Scientific Reviews, notes that RNA, or ribonucleic acid, is relatively easy as opposed to DNA, necessitating around 40 to 100 nucleotides for life to exist. Given enough time, nucleotides can spontaneously join to sort RNA offered the appropriate chemical problems. An assertion accompanying the exploration reads, but existing estimates advise that the magic number of 40 to 100 nucleotides should really not have been feasible in the quantity of room we contemplate the observable universe. That sounds like nerd talk to me, Dave, if you've ever heard it. However,
you're Captain Judgy today. Captain Judgy.
Captain Judgy. The quote goes on, however, there is far more to the universe than the observable, states the study guide's creator, Tomonori Totani, in the statement. In present-day cosmology, it is agreed the universe underwent a time period of fast inflation, creating a large area of expansion further than the horizon of what we can specifically observe. Factoring this increased quantity into products of abiogenesis vastly raises the possibility of daily life developing. It's considered the amount of stars in the observable universe is believed to be 10 sextillion. That's right, I said sextillion, man, and I'm not ashamed. But that could be as higher as 10 Google. What is a Google? I need to Google that Google to figure out what it is.
That's the French version of Google.
Is it? Okay.
Welcome to Google.
Google. Welcome to Google. Would you like to know a term? Thanks to swift inflation, which would make the existence of RNA constructions practically unavoidable, the article goes on to say. Like quite a few in this discipline of exploration, I am pushed by curiosity and major thoughts, Totani added. Combining my recent investigation into RNA chemistry with my extended background of cosmology leads me to realize that there is a plausible way the universe needs to have long gone from an abiotic or lifeless point out to a biotic asingle. It is an exciting, he says, it's a quote, considered, and I hope research can build on this to uncover the origins of lifetime. In February, the SETI Institute introduced they are working on new strategies to location technosignatures that could potentially point out the existence of an innovative civilization. Technosignatures are defined as potentially detectable signatures and indicators of the presence of distant state-of-the-art civilizations. This according to NASA. In September of 2018, the $200 million Transiting Exoplanet Study Satellite, or TESS, observed its initial exoplanet. In April of 2019, it found its initial Earth-sized Earth. More than 4,000 exoplanets have been identified by NASA in full, close to 50 of which were believed to be probably habitable as of September of 2018. They have the correct sizing and the appropriate orbit of their star to assistance floor H2O, and at minimum, theoretically, to support life. So there you go.
Well, we've got a long week of interesting news and stories, folks. We thank you very much for tuning in and being part of our world. Tomorrow, we're going to explore an interesting ghost story, Tim. Ooh. It's a fascinating story, and it really it starts off innocuous, amps up, and there's some strange twists and turns on it. Gene Stanton, our guest tomorrow, when we continue with more of the best in Paranormal Talk Radio. For Tim Dennis, I'm Dave Schrader. You've been listening to Darkness Radio.